Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. A special shout out to my young moms, my older moms, anyone thinking about becoming a mom. This channel is for you. I hope you find the content enriching and encouraging. So, when I did my last video, I realized that I didn't introduce myself. I didn't even talk about what this channel is about. I just kind of went right into it. And I think honestly, it speaks to how excited I was about the encouragement I'd received earlier on in that day, right? So if you haven't watched that video already, I really recommend you go back and you watch that video. Leave a comment, like, share it with a friend, and yeah, let's engage in the comments. I'm really curious to hear how you're coping, what's working, what's not working, because what this channel is about is primarily creating a platform where we can share the truth of God's word to encourage each other in the different seasons of our lives, right? And so, particularly because I'm in a season where recently got married, recently had a child, and so how does the word of God apply to this particular season, right? So I'm very careful and intentional to talk about seasons because I believe that this channel will span across many seasons, maybe in a woman's life. So we've started this channel where, like I've said, young mom, young wife, young baby, so many responsibilities, so many changes, right? But who knows, maybe a year from now, 2 years from now, I don't know where I'll be in the seasons of life. But one thing I guarantee, one thing that I hope, one thing I plan for is that wherever I am, in that season, as God grants us grace and as the community grows, we'll still be able to share the truth that's going to help us and help you, and that's helping me navigate that particular season. So again, that means that the videos and the content of you're gonna get on this channel will be different, right? So I'm not saying that for the next 5 years or 2 years or 3 years I'm going to be focusing primarily on content for young moms, older moms, anyone thinking of becoming a mom. But what I am saying is that as the seasons evolve, I will be sharing the truths that I'm learning and I'm applying, and that's helping me, in the hope that it can also encourage you and help you as you're watching, right? Because one thing I've realized is you'd be surprised how many people are going through what you're going through and probably need to hear what you're like winning in or what's not working for you, right? So if you're a young mom, for example, something that's probably universal is the issue of sleep. Like, sleep deprivation is quite a prominent theme. So sometimes you can feel like, oh, you're the only one going through that. But sit with one or two moms or one or two older women and they'll be like, yeah, oh yeah, that's normal. And you'll be like, what? How come no one told me, right? And so that's also what this challenge is about, sharing struggles that, may be common, right? So I don't want you to feel like you're the only person going through what you're going through in that particular season. But as I share my stories and as we share together, my hope is that you can find a place where there's a community that relates. We can relate with what you're saying, we can relate with what you're doing, you can relate with the stories we're going to be sharing, you can relate with the guests that we're going to bring on the channel as the days go on. And so, like, subscribe, comment, share with your friends, because more than ever, I think that as young women in the faith, in today's world, we need each other. We need each other. And thank God for YouTube. Thank God for social media, because from right here in my room, I'm able to share my experiences with so many women across the world. And likewise, you are also able to tune into this channel, build a community where we can share our experiences and encourage each other, right? No man is a silo. No one knows it all. No man is an island. So we need each other. We need to share, stories with one another, share experiences, share lessons with one another. Something so profound that I realized probably late in the week. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm going to leave my handle on there, because I'll be sharing also some interesting insights that I've been getting. And yeah, I think it'll be good if you follow me on Instagram too, because that's also a space that's growing, where I'll also be sharing my meditations, my insights, wisdoms that I've received from other people, right? So it's not like everything that I'm going to be sharing is originally from my mind or from my brain or from my secret time, but also as I come across content or clips or texts that I find interesting and edifying, I'll post it over there. So recently I put out a post on Instagram where I was talking about how no one plans to fail, right? So when we set out in life, your one desire is like, oh, I'm gonna fail. Like as we start going to school, like that's not what we want. Everyone goes to school and they hope they excel. They hope they come out with the highest grade. When you start a relationship, your hope, I hope, is, yeah, you want to spend the rest of your life with this person. You're looking for love, you're looking for a partner, right? When you get married, you're hoping it's forever. When you have a kid, you're hoping the kid, grows up to be a responsible person. But life happens, and sometimes life happens not necessarily because of things that are beyond our control, but life happens because we're not prepared. Life happens because we don't have the necessary tools that are required to guarantee our success. And so more on that is on my Instagram. So I was talking about how we need to prioritize growth. We need to prioritize getting proper information, right? So there is an exact body of truth that, for example, can help you excel in relationships, right? Just like there's an exact, when you're in uni, right? And you've got exams coming up. And I don't know what kind of uni you went to, but in my uni, before we had exams, the teacher or the lecturer would kind of give us an outline of things we can expect to be examined on. So that outline guided us as we studied and prepared for exams, and kind of gave us a leverage such that when you went into the exam, you had some form of confidence that the material you studied is going to be applicable to the questions you're going to encounter in the exam. So likewise, when you talk about the relationship particularly that's leading to marriage, the exact things that you can know about yourself, the next person, the institution of courtship or engagement, that will guarantee success. But oftentimes we don't give ourselves to that knowledge. We don't seek it out, we don't desire it, and so we end up in situations where we are broken needlessly, right? So that's not to say that relationships fail simply because you were not prepared or you didn't know. Sometimes you can be prepared, you can know everything, but there are other factors. But I'm speaking particularly to the factor of you being prepared, having the right tools, having the right information to guarantee your success. So on this channel, it's an attempt to equip young wives, young moms, older moms, people thinking about becoming moms, thinking about getting married, with the right information. So I'm not saying I know it all. I don't. I'm learning, right? But what I've learned that's helped me to get to this point, I'm willing to share with you. And what I've also heard from other people, I'm willing to come and be like, so guys, I was listening to this person and this is what the person was saying, and that person has fruit. And so I feel like this is an interesting, conversation, or an interesting point we can discuss and, gain insights from. Right? Because what I've also discovered is that perhaps there are certain people that I'm exposed to that you may not be exposed to. So I get a certain body of information that I'll be like, oh, I think everyone knows this. And then you'll be shocked rather, to realize that no, other people don't know this. So I don't want to make assumptions that, we're all getting the right information. I don't want to make assumptions that, common sense is common sense, because sometimes it's not. And so this is also my commitment to say, as I come across beneficial information, beneficial stories that I feel like can really help and equip us as young women, young moms, young wives, I'm committed to sharing it because it's important. Again, I was okay. I got a recommendation for a book, right? So I was talking to a friend maybe 2 weeks ago, and she shared so as she was sharing about her life, we're just kind of checking in, right? And then I just noticed, like, she's so good at setting boundaries. I was like, wow, that's like A1. Wow, like, wow. And so as I was listening to her, I realized that, oh, I think I'm not so good at setting boundaries. So I was like, yo, I feel like, you're so good at setting boundaries. Like, how did that happen? Right? And then she then goes on to explain how she's got into that place. And so finally she says, actually, I've got a resource that you can refer to. You should listen or read this book, Boundaries, Learning to Say No. Right? So you can get that off the internet. You can get it on Amazon. It's a really good book. So I got the book, and as I was listening to the book, you guys, wow. Wow. So on top of understanding myself and locating myself in the book, resonating with the characters, resonating with the points that the author was bringing across, one thing that stuck out to me is that, for example, some of the traumas we suffer as older people, as adults, young adults, can be directly related to how we were raised, right? So how our parents interacted with us has a really great bearing on who we are as adults now and how we relate to other people. And so initially, I was tempted, of course, to blame my parents. Like, you are the reason I'm like this. You are the reason. You are the reason. And then a still small voice or just a thought came across my mind, like, could it be that they didn't know better? Right? So when they were raising us, right, they were giving it their best shot. Because, like I said, no one plans to fail. So as they were raising us, it was not like they were trying to traumatize us, unless, of course, they are not good people. But by and large, they were doing their best. But in doing their best, perhaps they were creating handicaps in us. Perhaps they were traumatizing us. And I want to believe it was unintentional. But what I began to realize as I was going through this book is it's because of ignorance. It's because of not knowing. And we are so privileged today to live in a time where we have got access for days and days to really good information that can help us function better as people in our workplace, in relationships, as parents, as spouses. The information is unending, good and bad. And so, again, on this channel, it's an attempt to bridge that gap, right? We don't have to continue to be traumatized people. We don't have to continue to traumatize others, because there is an exact body of information that if you get your hands on, you read, you realize, oh, so I'm an avoidant, or oh, I'm a people pleaser. And there are exact reasons why you are like that. And as you sit and reflect with yourself, you'll be able to pinpoint and say, oh, okay, I think it was because of this, I think it was because of that, right? And more than just realizing that you have an issue, right? My stance rather is, it's an opportunity to take it to the Lord in prayer. God, I realize I have anger issues. Oh God, I realize I've got self-esteem issues. And the reason I have self-esteem issues is because I was never told that I'm proud of you. Or my parent or my caregivers never told me they loved me. And so, Lord, I think this is something I struggle with. may you please help me, right? And so how God answers that prayer is so different, right? In different ways. So maybe he speaks to you in that place of prayer and his word is able to just comfort you, or he brings people who love up on you like crazy. He's got different ways of answering that prayer. But here's the thing, you have to first be aware that you've got an issue. You take it to the Lord in prayer and he's able to respond to you. And where you feel necessary, please go get help. So reach out to your local pastor, reach out to a trusted, mature friend. Trusted, mature friend who's not going to make the situation worse, right? But who's going to help you navigate those emotions. Because sometimes more than prayer, perhaps you need to talk to someone, you need to cry it out, you need to hug someone, you need to go on a process, you know, where you actually work through those things. But you've got to be aware. So another element of the channel is just sharing information that helps you to be aware, sharing information that equips you to be a better you, right? So that you are not the reason why someone cries, you know, 15, 20 years from now. Let it not be that you are the reason why they're not okay, right? Commit to growth, commit to transformation, commit to knowing different things, commit to stepping out of your comfort zone, commit to healing, right? Commit. You don't have to stay the way you are. You can change. All right. So that's what the channel is about, basically. As I go through different seasons, I hope to share the different lessons that I will be getting, the lessons I've gotten, even from past seasons, right? So I just didn't wake up here. There are certain processes I've been through, seasons I've been through, where the word of God has helped me in different ways, and just being able to share that with you so that maybe you don't make the same mistakes, or so that you can gain perspective, right? Because everyone's story is different. So maybe as I share my story, it may not be 100% relatable, but you can just gain insights which you can then use perhaps to help someone else. So maybe as you watch the video, it's not directly relevant or relatable to you specifically, but as you hold on to the truths and the principles of the video and the content, perhaps you'll be able to help a colleague, help a friend, help a cousin, help a niece, you know, an aunt, whatever, whoever is in your circle of influence, right? So information is power, knowledge is power, but the most potent kind, or you know, use is when we actually use the information we get. So yeah, I still haven't told you who I am. So in ending the video, my name is Ropa. I am a lover of Jesus. I'm a child of God. I love talking to people, sharing with people. I'm a social butterfly. Like, I love to be here. I genuinely like sharing stories and listening to people. I am a young wife, a young mom, I'm a sister, I'm a friend, I'm a counselor, and I'm so happy to be going on this journey with you. So why don't you do me a favor, like, subscribe, share, and I can't wait to connect with you on my next video. God bless you. Catch up soon. Bye.